Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Meat Suit. I'm joined today by Janey Lavelle, otherwise known as Sage and the Seer, who's a healer from New Zealand, based here in Ireland. How are you, Janey?
I'm great, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, wow, we're in the middle of the storm. Have you noticed?
I know, yeah, my God, it's really blustery out there.
No, I didn't mean the weather.
We're in the middle of a shitstorm, that's for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's all so you're Janey's an amazing healer who helps me out all the time. She helps JCK out all the time, and she's done some incredible stuff, and I want to publicly thank you for that. And I want to.
My pleasure. That was an interesting. It was an interesting lead into finding you guys, anyway, Mark. You know how it all came about and stuff, and it was actually through a friend in New Zealand who'd been watching JC on YouTube and gave me the heads up. So I jumped online straight away and checked JC out, and I was like, oh yes, she's on the ball. And then one of her videos.
Can you move your microphone a bit closer?
Yeah.
That's better. I can hear you now.
One of her videos, then you appeared, and it was just instant, like, you got to contact that guy. And I was like, hang on a second. I'm not one to oh look, I wasn't even really into YouTube. Do you know, I wasn't even really I don't watch a lot of YouTube and stuff like that. I'm quite busy with my family and my clients, and as soon as I saw you, it was instant. And I think I sent you a message actually that day, and you messaged back just saying hello, and it kind of unfolded from there. You loaded up a video on the pineal gland.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I messaged you then saying, right, I've got some stuff for you. How can I get it to you or whatever? And it kind of unfolded from there, didn't it? It was just actually, you talk a lot about intuition, and I guess that's a massive part of my practice, is listening to my intuition. So yeah, got in touch with you, and it all kind of unfolded from there.
Yeah, I think that microphone still needs to come a little bit closer.
Oh, is it bad? Will it be better if I unplug it?
No, it was good. It was good there, and then you move it far. You moved it too far away. It's just a little bit too quiet. Try now.
Okay, how's that?
That's great. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this whole year, as in the last 12 months, has all been about shedding and acquiring. So, frequency alignments with people, and I've lost loads of friends and family, but I've made incredible new friends all over the world, and you're one of the closest ones to me.
I know. When you said you were an island, I was like, oh, this is meant to be, because I guess that initial message I got to contact you was I kind of said, well, I need another sign, give me another sign. And then you messaged back saying you're an island down the road from me. It was like, wow, you don't get much more of a bigger wallop in the head than that. So yeah, that was a synchronicity. And I think, all the stuff that's going on in the world, this has been part of the manifestation of it. It's given us that time to stop and drop into ourselves and connect deeper into our intuition, and just put aside that pace that we were all going at, one kind of thing into the next, and not really stopping and pausing and finding that sweet spot in life. What is it that we really want? And so many people have come to realize now that the pace that they were going at was just unsustainable, really, really unsustainable.
On every level as well. It's not just that they're getting worn out. It's the fact that people were not spending enough time just hanging out with their kids, or they weren't spending the time to prepare a meal. They were getting a takeaway, and then they'd sit down in front of the TV. And then just be brainwashed before they go to bed to repeat the whole process. I mean, it's just, I've always known the system is shite, and I've been self-employed for 30 years because of that. Because I have been employed a few times. But can you imagine employing me? It's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't really
No.
work. Doesn't.
Same with employing me, though.
Yeah.
I think when I left New Zealand at 18 and went straight to the UK, because my dad's actually originally from Kent, and I think I got fired from about the first 10 jobs that I had. Because if they didn't let me have a weekend off or do what I wanted to do, I was just like, see you later, you know. Yeah, that Mum and Dad always said, oh, you're going on a working holiday, and I was like, no, I'm not going on a holiday working. And that lasted for 13 years. I was traveling from the age of 18 until kind of pretty much the age of 31. And that's, a lot of people went off to uni, and I went out into the universe.
Which I think is what everybody should be doing, especially the way. Have you gone quiet? You still there?
Now. Yeah, message came through.
I'm telling my kids the same thing. They're going, oh, I've got to go to university. I got a job, and I'm like, no, not in this system, not in this system. Unless this system changes, you just get out in the world. It's their choice. If they want to go to university, I suppose I'll let them go, but not under these circumstances we're in at the moment. But let's go back a bit, because you grew up surrounded by Maoris in New Zealand, didn't you? In a small community, is that right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Well, so my dad emigrated to New Zealand in the 60s, and met my mum on a blind date. He was an electrician by trade, and all this stuff that he done actually really was fired up when you guys started tapping into the tunnels and stuff in New Zealand. Because as a young lad, he had this deep affinity to travel to New Zealand. So he got his trade as an electrician, and him and his best mate gapped it to New Zealand and ended up down the South Island, in a place called Tianau, which there's a massive lake there. And at the time, they were building a huge hydroelectrical dam. So Dad was in the tunnels there, putting up all the electrical lights and whatever it was they needed. And he kind of ended up doing that for a long time, and eventually was contracted all around New Zealand doing various different power stations and lots of industrial electrical work. And eventually had my brother, had my sister, and had me, and we moved back to the UK, in the late 70s, and ended up in Kent there, and he was working away there. And then the recession in the 80s hit. So I started school in the UK, and ended up going back to New Zealand. We landed in New Zealand the day Lady Di got married. I never forget it, because there was all the hoo-ha in England before we left around the royal wedding and everything. How mad it was.
That was in 1981. I remember it well.
Yeah, 81. So I was 6 when we moved back to New Zealand, and I started school there. We moved to a really, really small town in the Bay of Plenty, called Kawerau, and that's where I grew up pretty much.
So, when you were a kid, you say your dad was involved with building the tunnels. Are you saying he was involved with the tunnels that have been used by the cabal?
Yeah, well, some of the stuff that I've seen on YouTube, and that's been spoken about, and I've dived a little bit deeper into that, into investigating it and stuff. And yeah, it's like apparently that's what they were. And this is going back to 1967. He came out to New Zealand, and 68, and then him and Mum got married in 69. So that was like, holy shit. I mean, he was an amazing electrician right up until he passed away. He was still working. But they're right down, the ones that he was involved in back in those days, Mark, were right down on the west coast of the South Island. And it's just, I mean, down there, it's sensational countryside. It's full on rainforest. It rains pretty much every day of the year. It's absolutely, the scenery's stunning. But another friend of mine out there was saying, oh, those are some of the dums, you know, in New Zealand that have been spoken about. So I just thought it was quite interesting. I don't know if Dad was aware of you know, they were all
I'm
told
sure not.
they were told they're building a hydroelectrical dam, and
Yeah.
all that infrastructure is there. But he left that job and he started, he was a real nomadic soul, my old man.
So
Traveled his whole
you
life.
inherited that then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, one of his sayings to me always was, "A rolling stone gathers no moss."
It's true.
And he knew, actually, like, I was really good at school, but it just didn't suit me.
Well, yeah, I was going to come back to this because were you weird as a kid?
Yeah, oh yeah, I was always weird. Yeah, I was always the one that was like crazy Janey or Daisy, or, people would meet me and within like 2 minutes they're like, "Oh, you're crazy." They just had, and not in a bad way. I don't mean that they were insulting me. I was an unusual kid in that sense, and I think people just took it as me being very vibrant.
Yeah, but
full of energy, vivacious, rebellious.
did you have any connection with spirit or anything that you were aware of? Did you see things? Did you, were you aware of that stuff when you were young?
Yeah. So I guess the first thing for me was when I was about 8 or 9, my great auntie died, and I'm actually named after her. My middle name is Margaret, and we had to go down south to her funeral. And I was standing looking into her coffin, when they've embalmed them and everything, and you're getting to say goodbye. And there she was standing right beside me. And to an 8-year-old girl, it didn't freak me out. I was just like, "Oh, all right, she's all right." She was standing there kind of saying it's all right. That was the first time I realized how thin the veil was, you know. And I kind of carried that with me for a long time. I always had that ability, Mark, to sense something before it was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Or you'd think about somebody and they would then appear, or just a knowing that something was about to happen. And then when I was around, I think it was around 10 or 11, the Karate Kid. Do you remember that original Karate Kid?
Do I remember it? Wax on, wax off.
Wax off.
Wax on,
yeah.
Wax off. I still do that. I still do the. I don't look right. Middle-aged man doing that looks wrong. Looks wrong.
On the fence post in the garden.
Yeah.
And I was already interested in crystals in those times as well, because a friend's father who lived
crystals.
Yeah, he lived down the road, and he had a man cave in the shed, and he used to polish crystals. So he started to, got interested in them through him, and then saw the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi doing Reiki, and no idea what he was doing. And that just, boom, it was like something happened in that moment. I knew I had to find out what it was, and I was quite a dorky kid, I suppose, and a real library nerd. I was the librarian at my primary school. So I started to do a lot of reading and trying to find as much information on esoteric stuff as I could. And that kind of led me then down the path, I guess, a bit more of getting into kind of more occult stuff, because all I could really get my hands on back then was stuff about witchcraft, tarot cards, numerology, dowsing, seances, which we all started doing, me and my sister and her mates. We started doing seances when I was about 10 or 11. And we had some freaky shit happen to us doing those. We didn't realize what we were dabbling with at the time, but you do it anyway, because you're drawn to it. You know, as a kid, I think you have a natural affinity for that weird shit, and the veil is thin when you're a kid. You know, you have a more open, I guess, insight into it. You know, your pineal gland hasn't been so calcified at those stages, and you're just, I think, a little bit more receptive to the idea that we're not alone, and that there
Oh
are
no,
other realms and other
we're surrounded.
dimensions. And
We're surrounded. I mean, I saw
yeah,
demons, ghosts. Um, I had message.
oh,
I used
we
to hang
saw some
around
good shit.
I used to hang around graveyards.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did,
me
I
too.
did seances. I had I,
Me
I
too.
had every book I could get my hands on about ancient stories and the occult and all of that. It's so interesting that I've come back. I've come back to all of that stuff like it was, because I kind of blocked it out for years, because
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
so, because the system is designed to keep you running on this wheel, so you just don't pay attention to those things, and then you
absolutely.
end up believing that you are separated from everybody, that your life is meaningless. You end up believing all that bullshit, and then something happens to you when you end up looking for someone like you to go and do some healing, because people get to
Yeah,
the point where it's not enough to go to the doctors. It's not enough to eat the right food. You've got to fix themselves spiritually, and this is where
yeah. It's
people are.
having a different. It's actually, I think, it's having a different level of awareness about health, because the way that the vast majority of us have been programmed is that you give your entire um, capacity to self heal, you hand it over to the doctor, over
Yeah,
to the priest, it's given away so easily, and that you lose your sovereignty just like that in those
well, it's
moments.
programmed into you to do that. You know.
Absolutely, totally. And I think, you know, a huge part of my practice and what I instill constantly in my clients is that you all have the ability to heal. I'm not, I'm not in charge of their healing. They are. They have to take full, um, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, full acceptance that they're doing the work just as much as I am. I'm
About
like a
responsibility.
messenger.
It's responsibility.
Responsibility.
Mm.
Yeah. So actually, you made me think of something there, because when we first moved back to New Zealand, like, my parents weren't particularly religious. Dad was a choir boy in the UK, and Mum's family were all Scottish descendants, so staunchly Presbyterian, but never rammed down our necks as kids and stuff. But when we got back to New Zealand, Mum and Dad wanted me to go to Sunday school. And you'll laugh at this. So off I went to Sunday school and into it a few weeks, and I fucking hated it with a passion, and didn't want to go. Just didn't like it. And then one day, whoever was leading the class was saying to us that we were all made out of dirt. You know, the story of Adam and Eve. And I didn't want to hear it at all. And I put up such a fuss over this. And Mum and Dad come and collect me, and the priest ended up saying to them, she'd be better off not coming back. She asked too many questions.
She asked too many questions. Yeah, that's no good. You can't be asking questions. You're not allowed to ask questions.
I know. And that kind of that's my nature anyway. I'm a very inquisitive person, and I think that's kind of stood to me actually throughout my life, because I can literally talk to anybody, because I really am inquisitive. So I'll ask questions, and I have a natural interest in people, and it's from that you get to know kind of what they need, where they're lacking stuff in their life. It's really served me as a homeopath as well, and a healer. From that, once I went to high school, then first year of high school, Mum and Dad were sick of the teachers ringing saying Jane asked too many questions in class, and Dad is like, what the hell is she doing at school? And they sent me off to boarding school after that, which was brilliant. I loved it at boarding school, but again, didn't last the full school curriculum out there. I ended up getting kicked out of boarding school. But you know, that was fine.
See
I
this,
went on
see
then
this
to,
face of surprise.
yeah, not surprised. And that was really funny as well. Like the headmaster invited me into his office, and he wrote me the most amazing reference that I took to England and got jobs with. And he said to me, "I'm really sorry to see you go, Janey, but you've broken every single rule in the school book except one, and we can't let you come back to finish your final year here. So we have to get you, see you later." Um, and Mum and Dad weren't surprised. Like Dad had given me screwdrivers to unscrew all the locks on the window so I could sneak out at night and, just not be stuck in our dorms. And he was a bit of a lad, my dad. So, he's always up for a bit of a laugh. And I think he knew how much of a free spirit I was, I suppose.
So anyway, you went off traveling. You got kicked out of loads of
Yeah.
jobs, and then when did you start? So you obviously studied homeopathy, Reiki. What else did
Yeah,
you do? And how did you end up being
well, I traveled loads, and it was through those traveling that I started to realize that I had a real deep interest in healing. So I started probably in my early 20s doing courses here and there in healing. And got predominantly into energy healing because I didn't find anyone at that stage, Mark, who was into Reiki. So I did courses in crystal healing, tarot card reading, um, just all kinds of massage, any short course in massage that I could find, I would do and stuff. And then just started applying all those principles to my friends, really. Never did it as a job. I was always in the hospitality industry because I absolutely loved partying. So in my 20s in the UK, as you can imagine, it was the rave scene. It was absolutely incredible time to be in the UK.
was, yeah.
Met some amazing people in Canterbury there, a group of ravers, and they fully schooled me and everything. Like, actually, it was them who David Icke had just come out there, and they're like, "Right, you have to read this book, The Queen's a Lizard." I was just like, "Oh my God, what?" Read
Yeah.
David Icke's first book, and then that led me into kind of Chariots of the Gods and all the beatnik writers and loads of if I had all the books I'd read in my 20s, I'd have a library in here.
Yeah.
And it
Same
was
here.
then I guess my consciousness was changed.
Yeah.
Had my first psychedelic experience at about 15, and there was a big shift in my consciousness then that made me pursue that level of awareness into my 20s. So I was really in the realms of kind of expanding my consciousness, at the same time as spending a lot of the time on the dance floor with other people like-minded.
I assume you've watched the Abracadabra videos.
Oh yeah, I swear to God, I know Juicy and Lucy. That's
I
what I
bet you
put a
do.
message
I
out
bet you
to
do.
them the other day. I put a message out saying, "Did you guys used to go raving in Milton Keynes at the sanctuary?"
I think they've been raving everywhere. I don't think there's anywhere they haven't been raving.
Yeah, I loved the Abracadabra Code. It's something that I need to go back and listen to. So much information in there, and it's the kind of thing you could just listen to and then sit down and meditate about it. Because
So I just want to. Sorry,
loaded.
go on. Yeah, I just want to tell
No.
everybody watching. Last time I had a healing with Janey, she's got this amazing machine. Can we see the machine?
Yeah, the radionics machine. Yeah. Whoa.
Can we see the machine? It's really cool.
Right, I'll just move over to it.
While you're doing that, I'll tell them. So I had this healing with Janey, and literally I saw this creature leave me. That was like I have mentioned this on a couple of videos previously, but it was like this black dog, but with no head and square legs. Oh, there's the machine. Yeah, I love that machine. That looks like something out of a 1963 TARDIS Type 40. I like it.
I know.
I expect to see William Hartnell leaning over it, twiddling the knobs. We are wanderers in the fourth dimension.
I'll send you a photo of of it if you want.
What does, just explain what that machine does? I mean, there's not many of those about. I mean, I've been to tons of healers over the years, and I think yours is the first one I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, I think that's even before you came down for your session, I was working on you with the radionics machine and sending frequency. So it's a machine that's run on magnets, okay, and it runs under the kind of premise that everything has a frequency. So if everything has its own frequency, then it has a code.
Yeah.
And so I have all the codes for frequencies, and I use it predominantly for making homeopathic remedies. But
so
also,
you infuse the homeopathic pills with the frequency using that machine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that a standard? Is that a standard homeopathic practice, or how?
It's kind of in the homeopathic world. A lot of homeopaths have them and use them, but then you also get homeopaths who are diehard classical homeopaths, and they won't use a machine because they have a kind of I guess their way of prescribing is only with the actual medicated potency. So they'll actually use the substance and not the machine.
Yeah.
But I think I trained as a Reiki master 15 years ago. And so my concept of energy comes from that. And because I trained 15 years ago, I started doing distance healings immediately. So that whole kind of understanding of energy medicine was different for me going into my homeopathic training. And then I had the opportunity to buy a radionics machine. And I already had an awareness then that some homeopaths won't use them because they don't think that they are the real deal or that they don't work. And funnily enough, as soon as I got that one, a local farmer here.
Oh, is this the story about the cow?
Yeah.
Bring the microphone up again.
Can you hear
bring
me?
the microphone. Yeah, just keep that microphone up because otherwise they won't hear you.
He hears. Like we're not allowed to treat animals as homeopaths, so we have to say we're healing them instead. And he comes over and he's like, "Oh, here you have the remedy for mastitis." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, Patty, I do." And I said, "I need the cow's number and some of the cow's fur." Now,
well, the cows have phones there, do they?
Yeah, phone number.
What's that cow's number?
These are West Coast cows. They're
on
modern.
apps. They're on apps and everything.
Yeah. Just after texting her, she's sound. No, the tag number.
Yeah.
And so he came down with that stuff, and I have a rate in my log for bovine mastitis. Okay, the veterinarian rates, because some vets use these machines. A lot of farmers in outback Australia use radionics types machines because they've got so much land, they can't always find their cattle without getting in a helicopter. Yeah. So they will broadcast a frequency, a healing frequency to the cattle or to the crops. Okay.
And they wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be doing this if it didn't work.
No, exactly. Well, all this stuff is classed by the mainstream as pseudoscience because it's almost like if you can't see it, it doesn't exist. So that's the kind of thing, I guess, with our level of science, is it's a materialistic based kind of science, isn't it? And anything that goes outside of that into the esoteric stuff or frequency stuff, people tend to grapple with it because you can't see it.
I think there's a technical term for the kind of science that we deal with. It's called bullshit. That's it. I knew it'd come to me. I'm good with these
modern day BS.
Yeah.
You've got those technical terms down pat. But anyway, Patty's there with the cow. First time I had even used the machine myself. And of course, I was 5% skeptical. I was 95% I knew it worked because my homeopath had used it on me. My friend that sold it to me had used her one religiously for years. But there's always this questioning nature that I have, right? And so he's there standing there. He's like, right, what are you going to do? And I'm like, oh my God, he's watching what I'm going to do here. This is the baptism of fire. And I said, well, Paddy, I need to douse to find out, what potency. When you talk about potency with a homeopathic remedy, you're talking about the strength of it. So I said, I need to douse to find the potency for the cow. So I did that. And look, he didn't batter an eyelid, right? Sent him off, broadcast the remedy to the cow. I had to do it 4 times in an hour. And that was grand. I went down to him the next day to check the cow, and I'd taken photos of her udder. And he was like, oh, she's gone. And I was like, well, where's she gone? He's like, she's down the field. There's not a bother on her, not a bother. Sure, she's grand. And I'm like, oh my God, she'd had mastitis for 3 months. Her whole udder was inflamed. Anyway, after about 3 days, absolutely perfect, back to kind of normal. She was pregnant at the time. She gave birth to her calf, and that was all just from the radionics machine. The last time she had mastitis before that, the vet came out, gave her antibiotics, and she was pregnant then, and the calf died in utero. So Paddy was adamant that he didn't want it. That's a lot of money to lose when you lose a calf of that stature. He's got amazing cattle. So he was utterly convinced that it was the radionics machine. And he told another farmer. So that farmer's cow got sick and he came to see me. So then for a while around here, I was healing cows with the radionics machine. And sometimes I'd have to prescribe a remedy. So yeah, that for me just confirmed that machine definitely works. A cow's not placebo. This whole story around homeopathy
exactly.
being placebo.
Well, I know it's not. And in this one instance, you can say with complete conviction that this was tested on animals, and it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Vegan as well. Vegan, organic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to get into the whole meat vegan thing. I can't be bothered with that conversation today. But
No.
I just had a vegan salad. I just had a vegan salad for lunch.
I know, your salad looked amazing.
Yeah, and I was like, my son came in and he saw the lunch I'd made and he went, oh, #vegan, #vegetarian, #living my best life. And I was like, no, I just fancied making a salad. Well,
let's go back to your session when you came in, because during that session, I'd clocked that machine up. Do you remember to a frequency? Yeah, cool. Yeah, it was on max.
I've had that machine on me at maximum quite a lot this year.
Oh my God, you've had like ascending potencies.
Yes, I know.
Yourself on you. Yeah, like where I've started at like 33 and it's gone up to 55, 111. It's been all, every time I've doused, it's been those numbers. For you.
I think you should just save yourself some time. Just save yourself some time and just put it on maximum anytime I need it. Just,
Whenever you come into my thoughts, right, wallet.
Well, I've
session.
Sorry, go on.
Go on.
No, I was just saying, since starting this stuff, I've been under attack a lot, and and it's actually been, you've assisted me greatly. People like Leo and Barnes, JC's. I've had loads of help from loads of different people, and all of you, any of you watching, I've not mentioned. Sorry, not everybody's name comes straight to mind, but lots of people have helped me, and I'm deeply appreciative of that. What's interesting about that is that a lot of that has cut. In fact, I've probably had too much healing. Sometimes I feel like, because every time I have a healing, I'm exhausted for sometimes a few hours, sometimes for 4 or 5 days while I'm processing. Because you've got to process it.
You just made me. After that session you came in, I went out to get you a glass of water. Do you remember? And I came back and I'd made some granola, and I'd put some in a tub for you, and my husband's a beekeeper and he'd given Mark some honey, and
it was lovely.
I came back in and Mark was there just like dogging into the honey and the granola and ravenous,
Yeah,
having an
yeah, yeah.
apple.
I was like,
Remember, you ate the apple in
I
like
was
2
like, I was
seconds.
like Winnie the Pooh with my hand in the jar. I was
Oh my
absolutely
God, it
starved. I
was
was
so funny.
ravenous. Yeah, yeah. No, I remember that.
You
I was
were
ravenous.
ravenous. Yeah, it was a normal kind of response when you're doing the level of work that we did on you that day.
It was deep.
And I
It was
think
deep.
what was interesting was it was your shoulder. Do you remember we're working on your shoulder and I was
Oh,
muscle testing you, and
yeah.
it was like this feeling of disgust. And I made you pull. It's a technique that I do called heart speak. And so you have to pull that face of disgust, like, "Ugh." And I work on that area of your body to release that feeling, and then got you to smile. And you were swearing and cursing,
I don't
and
remember
I
that.
was like, yeah, yeah. I was thinking to myself, something's shifting here, and all of a sudden you were just like, "Ugh," this big kind of roar came out of you, and that was when the actual um, like a that's when you saw the entity leave you.
Yeah, I
It was
saw it as plain as
stuck
day.
on your
And
back here. Yeah,
if
I remember you
if,
drew it.
Peter, yeah, I'm going to draw it again because I remember exactly what it looked like, and it is quite interesting. Just going to find a spare
I
piece of
think
paper.
any work that you do of that capacity, instantly you were swearing, and I was saying, Mark, you have to transform that into forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because
Into a level of. I had to transform it into a level of forgiveness.
oh yeah, because you were cursing, you were and grunting and making all these, noises, and I said to you, Mark, you have to transform this feeling into forgiveness in order for it to release. And at the time, I wasn't aware that this entity was there. I was dealing more on an energetic, capacity, that there was this sensation of disgust trapped in Mark's back. And all of a sudden, this huge release, the whole knot in the back of his shoulder there dissolved, and he's smiling, I'm smiling, the whole frequency in the room's changed. And
It was like that, but black.
Demonic dog. Yeah.
It was totally black with no head, and it was running like a four-legged creature, but that was the shape of it. And I showed that in a video before, and somebody sent me a picture of one of the robot dogs that they built, and that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I saw those afterwards as well, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, that fecker left, but then there was an energy of this sort of old hag there as well.
Yeah.
I remember her face as well. And it's I'm sharing this because it's called Adventures in a Meat Suit, and this side of things is going to become, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, apart from the fact that you're amazing, is I think we're coming into when we're through this, we're in the middle of the storm, as I said at the beginning. Right now, everybody's full of doubt, fear, anxiety, paranoia, tired. They're exhausted from all of this stuff. It's been a massive spiritual quarantine. The human race has been divided into two sections: those that know what's going on, those that are fast asleep. When this awakening actually completes, or the big event happens, because I think there is a big event coming soon, but I'm not going to put any dates on it because I don't know. I have had 322 as a number follow me around for 6 months, but does that mean the 22nd of March?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it feels like that. And JC's got intuition about end of February and March, and the same numbers. And I trust her more than I trust me in this respect. But I'm not stating, it just feels like it's coming, right? And then there's going to be this time of, then it's going to be all about the healing, because you're going to be busy.
Yeah. I already am.
Yeah, we're all going to be busy.
I think actually, do you know what I'm finding most in my practice with my clients is that everybody's living in the what if, okay? We're all up here in our heads, living in our minds, concentrating on what next? How do I get through this? Oh my God, I can't see the future. I might not have a job. My family, my friends, the fear, whatever, everybody's projecting themselves forward, and they're not in the here and now. And this is a time where we need to be more in the here and now than ever before, because when you lose that grounding, that connection, being in the here and now, everything else is out of whack. And any energy practitioner will tell you this, that if you're not grounded, all your other energy centers, chakras, nadis, meridians, all those stuff come out of balance. So this is what I'm finding in my practice, is that everybody is so up in their head mark that they're just not grounded. They're not trusting. They're not trusting in the process that's unfolding because they can't. You know, they're bombarded with things every day. I don't watch telly either. I'm the same
Well,
as you. I
I
don't
can't
listen to
watch.
the
It's
radio.
poison to me. It's poison. 10 seconds of TV and I feel sick. It's
Yeah,
literally a poison. My body just rejects it instantly. It's just
yeah,
totally
yeah.
awful. But I was saying, somebody was on Facebook today. I put up a post on Facebook,
Yeah.
just basically saying similar, not exactly what you just said, but similar thing, like just don't get stuck in these 3D tittle tattle gossiping kind of nonsense that's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
The whole point of this spiritual quarantine is for you to go inside, ground, and find yourself and find God inside you,
Absolutely.
because that's where,
Totally.
because you are a
Yeah.
fractal of God. And that's actually all you've got to do. It's actually pretty simple, but
It is. And
people
that's the energy difference between the age of Pisces was that external um, adventure looking for God outside of yourself. And the whole energy with the age of Aquarius is you are God. We are fractals of God. Do the internal work. And doing that internal work is a much about connecting with the earth as source energy, connecting with your heart as source energy, and connecting with whatever else is out there in the galactics as energy. And if one of those isn't balanced and tapping into the other one, then you have an imbalance there. This is what I find anyway in my work, and you'll always hear me saying, you've got to ground, you've got to align, and you've got to get connected.
I mean,
Those three
it
things.
doesn't take much to take your shoes off and stand on the grass in the morning. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I've just bought some earthing bed sheets that are like 100 quid, which means you're grounding all
Wow.
night. You're grounding all night while you're 8 hours a night.
What are they made from? Sheep's wool or?
They're cotton, but they plug in to you and they earth you.
Oh,
I've
right.
got, they're on my links in the link tree description below, because they're great. And these guys, I actually was going to make earthing bed sheets about 12 or 13 years ago.
I never heard of them.
Yeah, because I think it was the only things you could buy at the time were like these wire kits that went out the window and down outside the house, and they're a bit messy and everything. And I was like, oh, this is good, because I really once I discovered earthing, it
Yeah.
changed my life. There was this film. I sent an email out about it the other day. This guy in Canada made this film about earthing, and when I got sent that, everything, it was part of my awakening. It's just like, oh, it's so obvious. To the point where I believe that the shoe industry is a weapon. They have
Oh,
weaponized.
right.
They have
Yeah.
wep. They have
That's
wep.
one thing
They've
amazing
weaponized.
about New Zealand. We don't wear shoes much
Well,
there.
yeah, but they've weaponized shoes, right? So all the kids are wearing
Ah, right. Yeah. Shoes that
plastic
disconnect them.
disconnects
Yeah.
us from the earth, right?
True.
It's all
Yeah. Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
And when you understand what they weaponized the water, they weaponized our clothes.
Yeah.
Even
Absolutely.
our
Yeah.
cotton t-shirts. If they're not organic, you're getting toxinated all the time. They're just
Yeah. Totally.
toxins. Disconnect you from your soul, disconnect you from your true energy body and everything else. And
Yeah.
that's what we're coming. That's why I'm saying this healing is going to be, huge. Or maybe not.
It is huge. No, it is.
Maybe
Honestly, I think.
the event will just activate everybody, and everybody will just heal instantly and won't need anything. I don't know, but
Oh, that would
it's
be amazing.
you could. Why not? I mean, if everybody suddenly goes into 5D, then maybe there is no healing required after that. But
Imagine.
imagine that.
That'd be awesome,
Well,
wouldn't
the whole.
it? Oh,
I think.
wow. Hey,
I
I'd
think.
be out of business.
It won't matter. It won't matter because everybody. I don't think we're going to have money. We're heading towards no money. There's going to be a
Yeah.
period of time when everybody is completely abundant. Debt is written off. This whole financial system. I'm damn sure this financial system's coming in.
Yeah, I'm hoping that too. Yeah, that would be amazing. I think that's something I learned back. you talk a lot about the banking. I studied permaculture for a year
Mm.
a long time ago, and we had a huge module in that on the banking system and how corrupt it was, and just the whole um, idea around them taking our money and investing it into arms, and it's not sustainable and everything. So I learned back then all about the banking system, and that you're much better off to barter,
Well,
and to swap
but
things
no,
out.
but I don't. But barter doesn't work because that requires a double coincidence of wants, right? Which doesn't happen often enough for you to be. So there is a need for an exchange, but
Absolutely.
money. Yeah, I sent an email out to everybody on my list the other day about a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, which actually explains the Federal Reserve and the fractional reserve banking system and why and how they've used that to literally destroy us. Because that is the root of everything.
Rid of
I
that,
think
yeah.
money money in and of itself is not evil, in my opinion, but the type of money and the way that it's been used, it is, and people just can't see it because they're born into the matrix. So the matrix is all they know.
Mm.
So when people
Mm.
like us come along and start talking about demons and spirits and blah blah blah, of course we get called mad because they like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about, because they've not seen it. But once you start grounding, once you have some
Yeah.
treatments, and once you process some negative things, and then once things start activating, like your pineal gland, and you start I had visions for hours last night, and I'm still processing those now, and I do pretty much every day. There's an entire other existence outside of this, this body, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is so exciting.
It is really exciting. I think that so many people have come to me since COVID, and that's exactly where they are. They're having a spiritual awakening. They're right at the start of having a much deeper level of awareness about their consciousness and about the collective consciousness, and the fact that they feel like what they're being told isn't true. So you
But
have to meet them.
I got to tell you this: I had a business meeting this morning, and it was some really nice people. It's a woman that's known me for a few years, and she introduced me to two colleagues on the Zoom chat. And
Yeah.
she's going, so blah blah blah, ever since the COVID and everything. And I said it's a massive hoax. And she went, what is the vaccine? The vaccine, is that a hoax? I said no, COVID's massive, the biggest hoax in history. And she went, right, well, I've just told these two people that you're really brilliant at what you do. Now they think you're completely mad. And I said, okay, let's not talk about that then. Let's just talk about what cracks me up about it is that I grew up as a kid where you could say anything to anybody, and if they
Yeah.
disagreed with you, they'd say, well, why do you think that? And then they'd
Yeah.
ask questions about it. Now the something changed, because now people just clam up. And
Yeah.
I first noticed that in 2016 when there was a woman in a hotel in Marrakesh that I was talking to about Clinton and Trump. And I didn't know much about Donald Trump then, but I knew a lot about Hillary Clinton. And I'd read all the stuff
Yeah.
I'd heard her in interviews getting rapists and murderers off and laughing about it, child killers, and laughing about it. And I'd read up on the Clinton body bags. I mean, she's just an evil, evil, evil witch. So I said this to this woman. I said, well,
Oh.
well, I said, if she wins, we're in deep shit. And
Yeah.
she was like, what, you think we should vote for Donald Trump? And I went, yeah, we should, everybody, because America needs saving. It's in a terrible state. And she literally went 20 feet back against the window, and
Wow.
it was like she was pressed against, it was like a spirit was pushing her against the window. She couldn't move, and she rang her husband and said, come and pick me up now, right? Like, she had to
Oh
get
my
out of this
God.
situation. And that's the world that we've been in, and it's really, really
It
weird.
just triggered something massive, and that was a huge response from her.
But people used to be able to discuss stuff. People used
Yeah.
to respect
Yeah.
having a difference of opinion. And now it's all,
Yeah. I think
everything's just
that
polarized. And
totally.
I
I
can't
think
wait to
that's
get out of that. Oh,
a huge part of the actual energy of COVID, though, and we've discussed this in homeopathic circles, is the division that it's created amongst people. Um, you know, I've always been somebody who people have said where's your tinfoil hat?
Well, tinfoil hats actually work.
You see, I actually, there's a hilarious New Zealand movie called Hunt for the Wilder People. Have you ever seen
I
that?
don't think I have.
It's quite funny, but there's a few scenes in that of a kind of a nutty, mad guy in a tinfoil hat who lives in the bush. But there was a time during the second lockdown here. I took the kids to the beach and we made some sandwiches and I wrapped them in tinfoil, and they were off, mucking around playing. I was just sitting down chilling out, and I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna make a tinfoil hat.
The problem was though,
And so
it wasn't a tinfoil hat, it was an aluminium hat.
Yes,
There's
true.
a difference.
Aluminium.
In fact,
Yeah.
anybody watching this, take the aluminium out of your kitchen as soon as you can.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I took a photo of it and
But it looks
posted
funny.
it.
Yeah.
And nobody really reacted badly because they already think I'm, nuts anyway. So I'll have to dig it out and send it to you. But yeah, that energy that's kind of come through with the lockdown has been so divisive for people. I posted the other day something about the fact that they haven't even isolated the coronavirus or COVID-19
Because you
yet.
can't isolate it. It's not.
No, my God, that really got some people's backs up. And it's not my job to get them to go and do the research.
Well,
I post what I believe in on my business page, and there's some kind of a virus out there. Sure, there's no flu in Ireland this year. It's all COVID.
that's weird, isn't it? The flu's disappeared.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Now everybody's terrified of another flu with a different name. It's anyway. Look, I don't even
need to go into that.
I don't even want to talk about that because it's I'm moving past all that now. It's all about the future.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's I keep saying the same thing, but it's pretty simple. Either I'm wrong and we haven't got a great future ahead, or we're all dead, because the alternative is that this cabal and this new world order is going to take over. But it's not, because we'd already be dead. And all you're going to don't get lost in fear at all. Just do what Janey says. Just center yourself, ground yourself, look after yourself, and go and see a healer if you need to. Go and read a book. Just hug your kids.
I think ultimately,
it's all the simple stuff, the human things.
Yeah, you have to remember as well, we're all going to die at some stage. And
I'm not.
I'm not trying to be negative.
You telling me I'm going to die?
That's the end result of living.
Is it? Nobody told me.
Imagine.
You could have broken it to me a bit softer.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
Exactly. You're a long time dead.
And if you've had any near-death experience, I've had 2.
5.
And 5. Maybe I've had more. But it's just transformation, isn't it? The other day, when we were sorting this out, I put down in my diary, Mark Attwood, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. And then that night, JC put something up about you being the cosmic poet, and I messaged her straight away. I was like, oh my God, took a photo of my diary. I said, look at this. And that's, you're transforming and evolving as your channel has unfolded. So too have all your viewers, and so have I. And it's like you've moved out of that paradigm of, we've gone from carbon-based individuals into crystalline. And that's probably your kind of journey as well. You've gone from the meat suit into the cosmic suit.
It's so weird. I wrote a story when I was about 11 or 12 about this is totally true. I don't know if I've ever sold anybody this, but I wrote a short story about human race changing from being carbon based to being crystalline based, and I had never heard of this stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I used to write a lot of stories, and
have you still got that?
I don't know. But I have done a lot of shedding over the years, so it's probably in a skip somewhere 20 years ago. But or it might be in a box upstairs. I just haven't. I've got boxes
I
of stuff
kept
from
a
my childhood that I've
journal.
not been through.
Yeah, same as that. I kept a journal since I was 9. 9 years old, I started writing a journal, and they're all in a box in the attic here somewhere.
Yeah, somebody ever finds mine, they've got to work out the code, because when I get to about 17, 18, 19, I used to do little code in my diary about every time I'd had a shag, but it was in code in case my mum found it. It got quite busy there for a bit.
I was similar. Yeah, or you use specific words. Yeah, symbology and coding. Oh my God, the fear of getting busted. But yeah, that's definitely, I think, the more shows you've done, and different people you've interviewed, even my awareness has shifted. I'm a different person to who I was a year ago. So much has happened in this year, and I think you did a chat the other day with a really nice guy called, is it Teo?
Oh, Teo Van Dort, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, you mentioned spiritual quarantine, and he was saying it should be called sacred seclusion.
Yeah.
And I think that was just so powerful, and I really agree with that. That the time that we've had, yes, it's been shitty, and we've missed out on so much stuff. I've got 4 kids here. You know yourself, like with the kids, they've lost a lot of all their stuff, but
They've gained a lot
for
as well, though.
people, yeah, for people, you have to kind of try and find the good in what's happened, and definitely go into that sacred seclusion. It's the time of the hermit. The more internal work you do.
Time of the Kermit. I've got a Kermit here. Where is he?
I've seen him.
Hey, he's
I
upstairs.
love him.
Oh.
Oh, I might turn into
Hey,
Piggy.
Janey. Oh, Kermit. No, it is. I'll keep chatting to you all day, but I've got another one to do today and stuff. But it's lovely to chat to you. Where can people find you? Sage and Seer on Facebook, isn't it? And you've got a website as well.
Yeah, sageandseer.com.
Cool.
And you can book on there. You can give me a shout.
Don't get so booked up that you can't look after me anymore.
Oh, no, I keep Fridays free for you, remember?
Yeah, my car always breaks down. That's the problem.
Yeah, actually, you got to come in for a session, so let me know, because
the car's in the garage today. It had to get towed away because everything's just breaking on it. But I refused to buy.
I told you to get a new car.
No, I refused. I refused to buy anything because I know flying cars are coming.
I'm phasing them out anyway.
I'm waiting for flying cars. I want a flying car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you understand? Yeah. Flying cars are coming soon. So yeah. I'm just going to keep fixing this one until they're here. Anyway, you take care. Give my love to the family. I'll see you later.
Too, and hi everybody, and bye. And thanks a million, Mark. We'll chat to you soon.
Cheers, Janey. Bye.
Bye.